So what was the original story? As we work backwards through history, it is possible to imagine a scenario in which the stories of Perseus and Moses converge into a single original story that has since diverged and evolved into the myths we know today. The myths of Perseus and Moses may have roots in the Proto-Indo-European culture, which dates back to around 4000 to 2500 BC. This early culture spread across Europe and Asia, giving rise to various linguistic and cultural groups, such as the Hittites, the Greeks, and the Indo-Aryans, who shared a common mythology that would later evolve into the myths of Perseus and Moses. Proto-Indo-European mythology is characterized by its pantheon of gods and goddesses who governed various aspects of nature and human affairs. Key figures in this mythology include the Sky Father, who is the chief deity, and the Dawn Goddess, who symbolize the birth of the new day. Both the Perseus and Moses myths share certain common themes and motifs from this early mythology. For instance, the divine intervention theme present in both stories can be traced back to the Proto-Indo-European belief in gods intervening in human affairs. As the Proto-Indo-European culture spread across Europe and Asia, its mythology diversified and adapted to the local cultures it encountered. The Hittites, for example, developed a pantheon of gods that closely resembled the Proto-Indo-European pantheon, whilst the Greeks developed their own unique mythology, which included the story of Perseus. In the same vein, the Indo-Aryans, who migrated to the Indian subcontinent, developed the Vedic religion, which shares many similarities with the ancient Israelite religion and may have influenced the story of Moses. By examining the common roots of these diverse cultural groups and their shared mythology, we can gain a better understanding of how the myths of Perseus and Moses may have evolved from a single ancient source, reflecting universal themes that continue to resonate with audiences across different cultures and time periods. If you are enjoying this, please like and subscribe. It helps me out. Thank you. The hero archetype is a central element in both the Perseus and Moses myths and can be traced back to the Proto-Indo-European culture. This archetype represents a larger-than-life figure who undertakes a great quest or mission and can be found in various myths and stories across cultures and time periods, suggesting a shared origin in human history. In Proto-Indo-European mythology, the hero Trito is an early representation of this archetype. He embarks on a quest to slay a serpent and rescue a captive, which is a motif that appears in later myths, such as the Greek hero Heracles and his 12 labors, or the Vedic hero Indra, who battles the serpent Vritra. This can also be seen in Perseus slaying Medusa. In the Perseus myth, the hero's journey takes him through a series of trials, such as obtaining the head of the Gorgon Medusa to rescuing the princess Andromeda. The journey mirrors the challenges faced by Moses, who is tasked with liberating the Israelites from slavery in Egypt and leading them to the Promised Land. As the Proto-Indo-European culture spread and diversified, the hero archetype continued to evolve and adapt to the local cultures it encountered. In Norse mythology, for example, the hero Thor battles giants and monsters to protect the gods and humanity, while in the Mesopotamian Epic of Gilgamesh, the hero embarks on a quest for immortality, only to learn the value of human connection and the inevitability of death. Another common theme that may connect the Perseus and Moses myths to an ancient shared source is the dying and rising god myth. This theme, which can be traced back to ancient Mesopotamian and Near Eastern religions, involves a deity who dies and is resurrected or reborn, often symbolizing the cycle of death and renewal in nature. One of the earliest examples of the dying and rising god theme is the Sumerian myth of Inanna, the goddess of love and fertility. In this myth, Inanna descends into the underworld to confront her sister, only to be killed and later resurrected through the intervention of the god Enki. This story has parallels in other ancient Near Eastern cultures, such as the Canaanite myth of Baal, who dies at the hands of the god of death Mot, and is later resurrected to restore fertility to the land. In the context of the Perseus myth, When Perseus beheads Medusa, the winged horse Pegasus and the giant Chrysaor spring forth from her severed neck, symbolizing a form of rebirth and renewal following her death. The Moses story, on the other hand, contains elements of the dying and rising theme in the form of the Passover. During the final plague on Egypt, the angel of death passes over the homes of the Israelites, sparing their firstborn sons while taking the lives of the Egyptian firstborn. This event marks the beginning of the Israelites' exodus from Egypt and their eventual rebirth as a free nation under the guidance of Moses. The prevalence of the dying and rising God theme across various ancient cultures suggests that it may have been a widespread motif in the shared cultural heritage of these societies. A key motif that may connect the Perseus and Moses myths to their ancient shared origins is the concept of the Sky Father and the Earth Mother. In many early mythologies, including those of the Proto-Indo-Europeans, the universe was created through the union of a sky god and an earth goddess. The role of these divine parents in the myths of Perseus and Moses could indicate a shared origin in this ancient cosmogony. In the story of Perseus, Zeus himself is the father of the hero, impregnating Danae, a mortal woman, in the form of golden rain. This divine parentage grants Perseus the strength and abilities necessary to complete his quest and symbolizes the connection between the celestial and the earthly realms. In the story of Moses, the role of the Sky Father and Earth Mother is more abstract, but still present. Moses is chosen by the Hebrew god Yahweh, who can be seen as a Sky Father figure, to lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. Yahweh is often associated with the heavens as well as the forces of nature, such as thunder and lightning. The Earth Mother figure may be represented by the land of Canaan, the promised land that Moses is leading his people towards. This land, described as flowing with milk and honey, symbolizes fertility and abundance, much like the Earth Mother archetype. Both Perseus and Moses confront serpentine or draconic foes in their respective myths, revealing a shared motif that spans across different cultures. Perseus faces the Gorgon Medusa, a terrifying creature with snakes for hair whose gaze could turn people to stone. In contrast, Moses confronts the Egyptian magician Serpent during a showdown before the pharaoh, ultimately proving the supremacy of his god. Moreover, the pharaoh was often symbolized by a serpent or dragon, representing a powerful or menacing force. We also cannot forget that Perseus fought a giant sea serpent to rescue Andromeda. This shared motif of the serpent or dragon slayer can be traced back to ancient Near Eastern and Indo-European mythologies. In Mesopotamian mythology, for example, the storm god Marduk battles the chaos monster Tiamat, often depicted as a serpent or dragon, to establish order in the universe. Similarly, the Indo-European myths often feature the hero slaying a dragon or serpent, such as the Vedic god Indra defeating the dragon Vitra, or the Norse god Thor battling the serpent Jomungandr. This recurrence of this motif in the myths of Perseus and Moses points to a shared origin in these ancient mythological traditions, and highlights the enduring theme of the hero overcoming chaos and evil. Before delving into a potential common origin of the Perseus and Moses myths, it's essential to focus on a less well-known but significant figure from Proto-Indo-European mythology, Trito. He stands as a testament to the early conceptualization of the hero, especially in the framework of the serpent or dragon-slaying motif. Trito, meaning third, is believed to be one of the earliest representations of the hero in the Proto-Indo-European tradition. His character primarily engages in a battle against a three-headed serpent, highlighting the primal theme of order versus chaos. In this struggle, Trito seeks to reclaim cattle stolen by the serpent, symbolizing a quest for restoring balance and order to society. This narrative element might seem familiar because variations of it reverberate in the tales of both Perseus and Moses. In the story of Perseus, the challenge of confronting the Gorgon Medusa and her serpent-infested visage mirrors Trito's battle against the serpentine antagonist. Similarly, Moses, in his stand against Pharaoh and the symbolic serpents of Egypt, embodies the age-old struggle of order against chaos. Another intriguing parallel between the myths of Perseus, Moses, and Trito is their role as protectors or shepherds. Trito embarked on a quest to retrieve his stolen cattle from a serpent or three-headed creature. This journey to reclaim and protect his flock draws parallels to both Moses and Perseus's narratives. Moses, often depicted as a shepherd, not only herded sheep, but eventually became the spiritual and physical shepherd of the Israelites, guiding them out of slavery in Egypt. This act of leading the Israelites to freedom can be seen as Moses saving his flock from the perils of Egyptian bondage, mirroring Trito's quest to save his cattle. Similarly, Perseus, in his endeavors, consistently seeks to protect his people, the Mycenaeans. His journey to slay Medusa and subsequent actions, like saving Andromeda and his kingdom from various threats, can be viewed as efforts to shield his flock from harm. The story of Perseus might not explicitly label him as a shepherd, but his protective instincts and responsibilities align with the shepherd archetype, just as Trito's and Moses' roles do. Drawing from these parallels, it's evident that the theme of the shepherd hero, one who protects, guides, and sacrifices for their flock or community, is an ancient and recurring motif. It underscores the value ancient societies placed on leadership, protection, and community, values that resonate deeply across various cultures and epochs. Recognizing Trito's place in this tapestry of myths gives credence to the idea that the tales of both Perseus and Moses might have evolved from or been influenced by a foundational story, one that dates back to a time when the first Indo-Europeans sat around campfires, weaving tales of heroes and monsters, tales that would traverse time and find new forms and meanings in diverse cultures. Exploring the shared themes, motifs, and narrative elements found in the Perseus and Moses myths, and tracing them back to their potential roots in Proto-Indo-European culture and other ancient sources, offers a fascinating glimpse into the interconnectedness of these stories. The similarities suggest the possibility that both myths may have emerged from the same ancient hero figure or shared cultural source. While we may not have definitive information about a singular original story, the common themes and motifs present in both myths, coupled with their prevalence in the descendants of Indo-European narratives, strongly indicate that these stories evolved from the same foundational tale, one that was first shared many millennia ago. Throughout this documentary, we have explored the intriguing parallels and shared themes between the myths of Perseus and Moses. By examining their respective stories, we have uncovered striking similarities in their life events, the hero archetypes they embody, and the challenges they face. By tracing these myths back to ancient Proto-Indo-European culture, Mesopotamian, and Near Eastern origins, we have revealed potential connections to a common source or archetypal hero figure. The significance of these connections goes beyond mere academic curiosity. Understanding the shared roots of these myths highlights the common human experience that underlies all our diverse cultures and traditions. Through these stories, we see that the hero's journey, the struggle against chaos, and the triumph over adversity are universal themes that resonate across time and space. The myths of Perseus and Moses serve as powerful reminders of our interconnectedness and our shared humanity. Moreover, the exploration of these connections offers valuable insights into the process of cultural transmission and the ways in which stories, myths, and ideas evolve and adapt over time. By comparing the myths of Perseus and Moses, we can better understand how ancient cultures borrowed and adapted from one another, creating a rich tapestry of interconnected stories and beliefs, as well as giving us a window into what themes and values were important to their particular culture, based on what aspects of the stories they placed importance on and emphasized. In conclusion, the myths of Perseus and Moses, while distinct in their own right, may indeed have originated from the same ancient source or hero figure. By examining their similarities and tracing their roots, we can uncover the timeless human themes that unite us all, and ultimately gain a greater appreciation for the power of storytelling and the enduring legacy of the hero's journey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.